that's usually that game is a charity game for something. This year it wasn't. Friday night, 7 o'clock, home crowd. It doesn't get better than that. Packed. It was a really good environment. Shout out to the fans of that game. But yeah, we were really excited about this game. This is one of the most fun games of the year that we play. Home game, 7 o'clock game Friday. So Lawrenceville, we play them every year. Last year, my sophomore year, we beat them at home. They were pretty good. We knew what to expect in a way because we knew they were going to be solid. We knew they weren't going to be a bad team. But I think we came out pretty strong. I know Nick Perugini had a really good game. He had 2 Genos, so that was really good for him. It was just a back and forth game. Nothing really exciting. It wasn't really exciting goals. They were just solid goals. I think their goalie was also really good, if I remember. But it was just a fun game to play. I think it was 2-1 going into the third. I had the third goal. That was really fun. To score and celebrate in the student section. That was pretty fun. And we just fought hard. We pulled away. Home crowd advantage. We were, I think in my opinion, we were much better than them. I thought we could have beat them by way more. We'll take a 3-1 win, whatever. But it was a really good game by us. So that was a fun win on a Friday night at 7. Winning that game was really big. So I think that's the game that started a winning streak. I'm pretty sure the Lawrenceville game. So that game was pretty big for us. It was really fun. So.
Yeah, the boys were ready to go because the student section was packed. It was obviously a fun game. I had family coming to that game. It's always a fun game to play in. But we came out hot, I think, right off the start. I remember Ludo took a nice shot from the point, for my stick. I was able to get it and put it in. It's always, fun to play in front of crowds like that because, you want to do so well for them. And I think the boys, we really battled that game, and the energy. I think it was the energy on the bench was just some of the best we've had all year, and I think that's definitely part of the reason we were able to come away with a W.
That was a great win because that was another game that helped us get going, feel on the ground, and make our team more competitive and more happier to win. Where I found when we would lose, everyone would go down. Where when we would win, everyone would just keep going up and up and up, and making us better. Where when that barn was packed, that was even better because the boys even made the boys buzz more. Where that was a good one to have, good hype booster. Where.
Yeah, so it was a reminder against Kent of how we have to play. There was a late in that game we started to turn it around, and we carried that into the Lawrenceville game. We played well. They're a tough team to play against, and it showed. It took a while for us to break them at home here. We eventually did, but it took a while. And we had a good game against them. I thought our first line was starting at that point. That 5-man unit was really starting to come, right? Against Westy, a little bit against Kent there late, and then against Lawrenceville, I thought those guys were really starting to, produce, and we could use them as a 5-man unit.
Friday night game, it's good. All the boys come out, and we showed out for them, played a good game, and then the game after that. We had a Deerfield, which obviously was a big opponent. They were first team in New England, and we won the game, one of their 4 losses of the season. They went up 2-0 early, I'm pretty sure, and then we were able to kind of climb our way back. Kind of the story of the season, we were able to come back when we were down and showed kind of our resilience. So. That was a great win for us.
And then I didn't actually ask you this, Nick, but there's a quick turnaround after the Deerfield game because you had to drive someone a couple hours to a wedding.
After the Deerfield game, I had to kind of, if you don't mind, I'd like my muffin. I would have to rush after the game, no handshakes, to take Andrew McLeory, number 8, to an Italian wedding in Jersey, yeah, all the way to Jersey. And I enjoy driving, and I enjoy driving with
one of my best friends and best pals, the 18-year-old Andrew Migliori, +1 on Trinity-Pawling, and yeah, so it was a fun experience for me. And thinking about it made the drive way more happy and joyful thing since we beat Deerfield
Academy.
So, but being able to come out against Deerfield, we came out a little bit flat. Obviously, they're a spectacular team. They sort of jumped out to an early lead, but our guys definitely sort of showed some resiliency and clawed their way back. With a really gritty effort to get it tied up, and then obviously to eventually take the lead and be able to hang on for a little bit. I think that win really, I think, was a turning point for our season. Obviously, not just the win, but being able to beat a highly ranked team like Deerfield. Showed our guys that they're really capable of beating anybody.
Everyone played well in that game. There wasn't that was not a game where we. If you were to come to the game, watch us play, you could not distinguish between our lines, our D at all in that game. That game was smothering by us. We didn't give them a lot of time and space. They're an excellent, really deep team with great goaltending. And we got in front of him. We took away his eyes. We moved the puck east-west. We capitalized on special teams. We knew how good they were coming in. Our coaching staff, but we didn't talk to the players about it. I think that helped, just coming off the momentum of playing some good hockey games. Obviously, them driving down that distance on a Saturday after us playing Friday night, our guys were still excited, still at a good energy level. We played a complete hockey game, and that was a really good game. I would not... against some teams, I would point out individuals. That game was just, everybody was good. Everybody was positive, on the same page, and that was a great game as a high school coach to coach, because how good the other team is, and we just didn't give them a lot of time and space. Yeah.
So Deerfield, after the Lawrenceville game, energy was good. We were really positive. They were, I'm pretty sure, the ranked number 1 team. We knew they were going to be really good. Being ranked number 1 is pretty hard to do. So they were a really good team, really skilled, really physical. I got hit a few times that game pretty hard. So actually, I'll talk about that. So I was supposed to miss the game originally because I had my cousin's wedding to go to. But thankfully, my line mate, Nick Perugini, happened to have his car and was willing to drive me to the wedding after the game. So I have to give 100% credit to Nick Perugini, my line mate, who was able to take me to the wedding after the game. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have got there. So I got to give credit to him. So now about the game. We knew they were going to come out really hard, which they did. They popped 2 on us quick. It was 2-0 right off the bat. We were a little shaken. This wasn't really what we had planned for. But we climbed back. I think Ludwig Alvin had the first goal, make it 2-1. It was 2-1 after the first period. Second period, we got a power play. We didn't score. And I think later in the period, I scored to make it 2-2. Later in the second period, late, they made it 3-2 off a breakaway goal. It was a mistake on our team, I think. So 3-2 in the third against Deerfield. We had to figure out a way. It was possible. We knew it was possible. It was 3-2 going to the third. So third period, I believe I had the tying goal. Very good pass from Sam Marchand to make it 3-3. He gave me a really good pass. It was a no-looker kind of. So I got to give credit to him. And then I think a minute or 2 later, my line mate, Liam Lefebvre, number 19, University of Vermont commit, removes Kyoshi tender. He made it 4-3. That was a really, really big goal for us. That was a snipe too, right from the top of the circle. So that really shifted momentum crazy. They were what the hell is going on? We were all celebrating. So it was 4-3 with about 5 minutes left. And then they pulled their goalie, our goalie, I forget who was in that. I'm pretty sure it was Andre Matusik. He made some really big saves. And when they had the goalie pulled, he made some really key saves. And I'm pretty sure Nick Perugini, he had the empty net goal to make it 5-3. That was really good for him. selling into student section, whatever, 5-3 Deerfield, it doesn't get better than that. It's 2 in a row. Just really happy we won that game. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Deerfield was a huge, they were a really, really good team, so obviously we had to be ready. I feel like when we didn't start the way we wanted to, we were down 2-0 after one, I think. I think I scored a goal, 2-1 in that game, and then we tied it, and then just went back and forth, and I think Liam ended up scoring the game-winning goal in that game. And that was a huge goal for us, huge win, and I think Ondick played really well in that game. So
Salisbury again was also ranked above us, but our confidence was through the roof after the Deerfield game, and I think it showed, especially at the beginning of the game. I mean, we were firing on all cylinders again. Energy on the bench was great. I was able to get 2 goals that game. First one, thanks to my line mates. It was a beautiful passing play. Even on the power play, for my second one, I think it was. Beautiful on the power play. It was just a beautiful play. And I think we were up, was it 4-3, I think, in the third period with like a minute to go. And I was on the ice. Obviously, they had their goalie pulled. It was just hectic. I think we were kind of throwing the puck away, just trying to get it down the ice and stuff. I think if we had a little more patience, we probably would have won the game, but it happens. They ended up scoring and tying it. But it was still a big tie for us. They were ranked ahead of us, and I thought the boys really put together a good fight.
And the Salisbury game, we had a chance to win that hockey game, and we didn't. But we still came out of that really confident. We were disappointed that we didn't win it. They pulled the goalie and scored on the goalie pull to tie it with a couple seconds left. And I know Anjay was really disappointed that he let that one in. But we knew we could play with anybody after beating Deerfield, after almost beating Salisbury. And if you look back on the season, that was a lot. That game was a lot like our Loomis loss. The first home game of the season when we lost to Loomis, we had the lead and we didn't seal the deal. But now instead of not sealing the deal where we lost, now we were just tying. And I thought that was growth for us. And looking back, actually that win against Deerfield and then that tie against Salisbury in the first game, playing them, if we were to go back and would have beat Loomis in the first game of the year, we would have won the Housatonic for the first time in 35 years.
Yeah, so coming off the big Deerfield win against the number 1 team, we were really happy with that. So we had some good energy going into Salisbury. We knew they were going to be just as good. They're really good every year. So we were really excited about that game. I think they came out to a 2-0 lead as well. That happens to us very often. I don't really know why. But in the first period, I believe I had a 2-on-1 with Liam, and I gave him a pretty good pass, and he had a nice little backdoor tap in to make it 2-1. I'm pretty sure second period, they ended up making it 3-1. On this later in the second period, Liam gave it to me. I gave it to Nick he kind of had like a backdoor tap in as well. I think that made it 3-2. And then on the power play, if you go on K-Talk Media, this goal is blowing up right now. Nick Perugini. I think I gave it to Ludovic Galvin. Ludovic Galvin gave it to Liam. Liam to Nick. It was a sweet goal. Nick with a bottle popper. You can go on K-Talk Media and find that one. That was probably the sickest goal I've ever seen in my life. Nick Perugini right there. Bottle popper. It doesn't get better than that. So that made it 3-3. And then third period, it's 50-50. It can go either way. Whoever scores first. And David Frimman found the back of the net with about, I would say, 7 minutes left in the third to make it 4-3. Shout out to David Frimman. He's a really good player. So that was really, I'm sure he was really happy about that. And then unfortunately, they pulled the goalie with about a minute left, and they wound up tying the game 4-4. We were really sad about that because we thought we were going to pull it away. I think moments before that, Chase Rose hit the post on an empty net. That was really unfortunate for him. He was really sad about that. So they made it 4-4. Anyway, going into overtime, obviously next goal wins. You just gotta hope we score. I think they controlled most of the overtime and possession-wise. I don't think we really had a ton of chances. But, we ended up tying them 4-4. It's not really, it's not the outcome we wanted, but we'll take it. It's better than a loss. So, that's all we got to say about that. So.
Yes, it was rough coming into a team, like Salisbury that was that good, but we held our own. We're doing really well. I get the puck coming down the wall. It was a 3-3. I think it was a pass from Blaze. And I get it. I go around the defender. I fake like I'm going to do a wraparound, and then I cut back the other way. The goalie gets his skate on it, but then I'm able to touch it in one more time, and I put us up 4-3. Unfortunately, they pulled their goal and they were able to score, but we came out with a 4-4 tie, which is still really good for us. Obviously them being like so much higher seeded, so that was a big time for us.
Yeah, another tricky, tricky game. Usually, pretty standard New England powerhouse. So playing them is never an easy feat. And then, like we just said, coming off a win against Lawrenceville and Deerfield, you're sort of riding high, and then, you got to turn around and play those guys. But again, our guys, the compete level was there, the effort was there, the execution was there, right? They tied it up late with their goalie pulling a 6v5. Things like that are going to happen, but our effort was there. We stuck with the game plan. We made some adjustments to sort of counter their special teams play, and for the most part, we did our job and held them. And again, it'd be nice that would have been a really big win for us, but being able to sort of be in the position that we were in, to even be in that driver's seat there, was a really crucial piece for us.